there is a quiet kind of suffering that almost no one talks about. Not the suffering of heartbreak, not the suffering of grief, not the suffering of failure or betrayal. Those pains are loud. They demand attention. They force themselves into the room. But the suffering I want to talk about, the one you've carried silently for years, is a different kind of ache. It is the ache of living a life that does not belong to you. It does not destroy you suddenly. It dissolves you slowly, piece by piece, compromise by compromise, expectation by expectation. There is no dramatic collapse, no breaking point. Just a gradual erosion of self until one day you wake up and realize you have become fluent in the language of everyone's needs except your own. You don't recognize your choices. You don't feel at home in your relationships. You don't feel connected to your own achievements. You look around and nothing is exactly wrong, and yet nothing feels right. You are living, yes. Functioning, yes. Surviving, yes. Even succeeding, somehow. But in all of that movement, your essence, the quiet core of who you truly are, has been waiting in the background, unseen, unheard, unexpressed. It's not that you feel lost. It's that you can't find yourself in the life you've built. It's not that you're empty. It's that your inner world is suffocating under layers of roles you never consciously chose. You learned early to adjust, to fit in, to avoid conflict, to make others comfortable, to be someone they could depend on. Then somewhere along the way you stopped depending on yourself. Not because you didn't want to, but because the world never taught you that your inner voice deserved a seat at the table. This is the quiet wound. You betrayed no one. You only betrayed yourself, and you did it out of love. You stayed silent, not to hide. You stayed silent to keep the peace. You swallowed your truth, not to deceive others. You swallowed it because you feared losing the little stability you had. You shaped yourself into what others needed, because being needed felt safer than being known. And now you feel the consequences in every moment of unexplained sadness, every restless night, every subtle dread, every sense of being off, every longing you don't have language for. This is not confusion. This is not weakness. This is not lack of gratitude. This is your soul trying to return to itself. After years of being misdirected, you're not lost. You're misaligned. You're not behind. You're dissociated from your truth. You're not empty. You're full of all the things you accepted in place of who you really are. And the strangest part? No one else can see it. Because you've become so good at performing the version of you the world applauds, you've forgotten how to express the version of you that aches. This quiet ache is not a problem. It is a message, a memory, a homecoming. It is the soul's way of saying, this life is too small for you now. Let's invite a few thinkers into this room with us. Not to lecture, but to illuminate. Carl Jung believed the greatest sorrow a person carries is the unlived life, the version of themselves they abandon to meet expectations. He wrote that when you ignore your inner voice, that voice does not disappear. It becomes your shadow. It becomes the part of your life you cannot explain, but always feel. Jung didn't see the shadow as darkness. He saw it as the truth you were too afraid to live. And perhaps that is exactly what you're feeling now, not darkness, but truth asking for space. Kierkegaard said something haunting. The greatest danger is not that your life will end, it's that it will never truly begin. To Kierkegaard, despair wasn't sadness, it was self-abandonment. It was the pain of becoming everything the world asked you to be and nothing your soul ever wanted. He believed despair is a sign that you're living outside your true identity. Not because you chose wrong, but because you never truly chose. Kierkegaard saw losing yourself not as a dramatic fall, but as a gradual drift into roles that numb your authenticity. And perhaps that is where you are, not in crisis, but in drift. Viktor Frankl. Frankl believed meaning is not optional. A person can endure anything, loss, hardship, injustice, as long as their life aligns with their inner necessity. But the moment they betray that necessity, the moment they suppress their authentic direction, suffering becomes unbearable. He said, "Life is never unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." Your circumstances may be fine, but your meaning is starving. Your life may look complete, but your purpose is underfed. Frankl would say, "You are not lost, you are unexpressed." And until you express the truth of who you are, your soul will continue sending you signals through discomfort, sadness, restlessness, and longing. The wisdom of these thinkers converges into one quiet truth. When you feel lost, you are not lacking direction. You are lacking self-abandonment's permission to stop. Your soul is asking for recalibration, realignment, reownership. This is not punishment. This is awakening. Let's go deeper now. Slowly, gently, truthfully. The invisible contract. Every person enters adulthood carrying invisible contracts, promises you made without knowing you made them. I'll be easy, I'll be agreeable, I'll be strong for others. I won't be a burden, I'll stay quiet if it keeps the peace. I will not disappoint. I'll make choices that don't make waves. I will not need too much. I will make others proud. I will not abandon them, even if I abandon myself. These contracts shape everything. Your relationships, your job, your ambitions, your personality, your silence, your exhaustion. And they shape your suffering. Because the child who made those contracts did not understand that survival strategies become prisons in adulthood. The version of you that learned to stay small was trying to protect you, but now it is suffocating you. Because the people who once needed you small are not the people your future requires. A soft betrayal of self. There is something you've done for years without realizing its cost. You've tolerated the parts of your life that suffocated the parts of you that were growing. You told yourself, it's okay, it's temporary. It could be worse. I should be grateful, I can handle it. At least things are stable. And your soul listened in silence as you rationalized away your truth. You weren't lying. You were trying to survive. But survival without authenticity eventually turns into numbness. Numbness is not a feeling. It is the absence of self. And yet here you are feeling the ache of that absence, recognizing that numbness is no longer sustainable. This is not weakness. This is awakening. Why you silenced yourself. Let's unfold the psychology gently. You silenced yourself. Not because you lacked courage, but because speaking would have changed the system around you. And change is dangerous when your belonging depends on things staying predictable. You learned to be pleasant, relaxed, accommodating, stable, non-threatening, easy to love, because the world rewards these traits even when they suffocate your truth. You were taught that authenticity is risky, and compliance is safe. But here's the paradox. The more you complied, the more unsafe you felt within yourself. You became loyal to your roles and estranged from your soul. This estrangement is why you feel lost. Not lost in life, lost in self. The body knows before the mind admits. There are signs you've been carrying for years. Signs your body recognized. Long before your mind allowed itself to understand. The tightness in your chest right before you say yes to something you don't want. The exhaustion that sleep never fixes. The way you distract yourself constantly because silence makes the truth too loud. The strange sadness that comes at night when the world stops pulling on you. the longing for something you cannot name but can feel, the discomfort in your relationships, not because they are bad, but because you're not showing up authentically in them, the quiet resentment that grows when you are relied upon for the version of you that hides your truth, the nostalgia for a self you barely remember, the grief for a self you never lived. These sensations are not symptoms of weakness. They are signals of misalignment. Your body is telling you what your mind has been trained to ignore. This is not who we are. The false self, there is a self you built for the world and a self you buried for your soul. The false self is not a lie. It is a survival invention. It is the version of you that could function in the environments that shaped you. The one who adapted, the one who stayed calm, the one who smiled, the one who compromised, the one who blended in, the one who pleased, the one who stabilized everything around them. This self protected you. This self served you. This self saved you. But now, this self is limiting you. Your false self is like a suit you've outgrown. It once fit, but now it restricts your movement, your breath, your voice, your life. The real self underneath has been waiting patiently to be acknowledged. And the moment you feel life becoming too tight, too small, too scripted, that is the moment your real self begins to whisper, "There is more to you than this." The paradox of being fine: people ask how you are, and you say, "Fine." Because the truth is too complex to offer in casual conversation. You're not miserable. You're not broken. You're not collapsing. You're functioning. Sometimes even thriving. And that makes the ache harder to name, because you've been conditioned to believe. If nothing is wrong externally, nothing should feel wrong internally. But the body keeps score, the soul keeps score, the truth keeps score. And eventually, you stop believing the lie that fine is enough, because fine is a cage, a quiet one, a comfortable one, but a cage nonetheless. You weren't born to be fine. You were born to be honest. And honesty is the doorway to alignment. The moment of recognition, there comes a moment, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe during a conversation, maybe while sitting in your car alone, when a realization rises uninvited. I don't want this life. Not I hate it. Not I need to escape. Not everything is wrong. Just, this doesn't feel like me. This moment is not destruction. It is clarity. It is the soul adjusting the compass you've been ignoring. And when this clarity comes, you are faced with a choice. Return to the familiar or walk toward the unknown. Familiarity feels safe, but suffocates your truth. The unknown feels frightening, but awakens it. This is the crossroads. And you are standing in it now. The real reason you feel lost, you are not lost. You are living in contradiction. Your truth is pulling one way. Your habits are pulling another. Your expectations are pulling another. Your fear is pulling another. You are being stretched between the person you became and the person you actually are. And that stretching is misinterpreted as lightness, but it is not lightness. It is transition. You are shedding, emerging, reorienting. You are not breaking down, you are breaking pattern. What happens when you stop abandoning yourself? Something subtle begins to happen when you finally face the truth you've been avoiding. Life doesn't collapse. The world doesn't burn. Your relationships don't shatter. What collapses is the illusion that you must abandon yourself to be loved. What burns is the old identity you no longer need. What shatters is the belief that authenticity is dangerous. When you stop abandoning yourself, you return to coherence. Your inner world and outer world begin to speak the same language. Your decisions become lighter. Your days become clearer. Your desires become understandable. Your purpose becomes visible. And for the first time, you feel real. Not successful, not admired, not impressive, not dependable. Real. Let's revisit our philosophers, Jung's path. Integrate the self you abandoned, not through force, through recognition. Kierkegaard's path. Choose your life consciously, not reactively, not fearfully, not obediently. Frankl's path. Live toward meaning, not approval. These paths converge into one truth. Transformation begins the moment you stop negotiating your existence with expectations that shrink you. This isn't a dramatic rebirth. It's a quiet pivot, a subtle turning inward, a gentle reclaiming of your own voice, a willingness to tell yourself the truth, even if the world doesn't understand. This is not liberation. This is alignment. And alignment feels like breathing deeper, thinking clearer, feeling lighter, wanting honestly, choosing slowly, living intentionally. It's not loud, it's not glamorous, it's not cinematic. It's a homecoming. So, here you are, not lost, but awakening. Not confused, but shedding. Not behind, but becoming. Your life is not ending. It is beginning, finally, quietly, truthfully. There is a life waiting for you beneath the one you've been performing. A life where you don't need to shrink. A life where your voice isn't an inconvenience. A life where your desires aren't evidence of selfishness. A life where your truth doesn't threaten your belonging. A life where you are not responsible for protecting everyone from who you really are. You are not lost. You are realigning. You are not broken. You are remembering. You are not empty. You are overflowing with the pieces of yourself that are ready to return home. And perhaps the softest truth is this: you do not need to reinvent yourself. You only need to reclaim the self you abandoned along the way. There is nothing to become, only someone to return to. The person you were always meant to be is still here, still waiting, still patient, still yours. All you have to do is stop walking away from them